This is known as a card fan. It's a classic card flourish and a must-have in your repertoire, as this is a card move that most of people identify magicians with. Hi, my name is Josep Vidal, and in this video I will share with you all you need to know to learn this move in no time. So if this sounds good to you, get your deck of cards, sit down, and let's get into it. Just for you to know what to expect from this video, here is the structure of it. As you can see, the video is divided in 3 parts, being the first one the before we start section. We'll be sharing some relevant information, pro tips, and also talk about concepts related to magic that will be useful not only throughout this tutorial, but also through the upcoming ones. Then we have the second part, which is the tutorial itself. We'll be sharing a detailed step-by-step for you to learn how to perform this move. Finally, we're gonna move on to the third part, which is the bonus section, where I'll be sharing some of my personal extra moves and variations I personally like to perform that will spice up this tutorial. So for those who want to jump straight into the tutorial, just before you go, let me recommend you, especially for this tutorial, to use a deck of cards that is ideally brand new or not very much used. Because as you will see, having a smooth deck will be very important for us to have full control on how to spread the cards evenly. So with that being said, let's move on to before we start section. I would like to start this section by emphasizing the idea of you following this tutorial with ideally a brand new deck or not very much use. The reason for that is that in order for us to distribute the cards evenly to make a nice card fan, we're gonna need a smooth finish that is normally present whenever we just open a deck of cards or we use it sporadically. If you're wondering which is the deck of cards I'm using, it's a standard bicycle deck, affordable, easy to find, and you will always have all the material I'm using linked in the description. If you have another deck, no worries, you can still perform the card fan as long as it's brand new or ideally not very much use. Now I would like you to talk about the 2 different approaches you can have whenever you perform a card fan. Basically, the first one could be like this. You just create it with the index finger, and the other one, also known as a thumb fan, it looks like this. That basically it's done with a thumb. The difference is not much, it's the same mechanics. What changes, I would say, is the finger you use to create the fan. But I should say also that it's interesting, the card fan, for certain tricks, as it gives you a lot more control on which part of the deck you want to expose more. So in case you need to hide certain cards or sections of the deck, this will give you a lot more control. So I'll be teaching both in this tutorial, so you can choose the one that fits your purpose and your style. An additional approach I'll be sharing in the bonus section is the one-handed version that looks like this. It is very cool, it has different applications that I'll be sharing there in the bonus section, so I recommend you to stick around till the end of this video. And finally, I would like to close this section by sharing with you the way, from my experience, I would recommend you to follow this tutorial. Because especially this one will require you a lot of muscle memory. And in order to build that muscle memory, you can only do it through practice. You can revisit this tutorial as many times as possible, just try to grasp the details, and once you think you understand it, try to practice it right away. As soon as you get into the practice, the easier will be for you to understand and naturalize most of the moves and details I'll be sharing in this tutorial. And now that I share with you all we need to know before we start, let's move on to the tutorial. To perform the card fan, it's very important to understand the actions and the roles of both hands. I'm gonna break down both separately and then put it all together so we have a full image on how to perform it. And starting by the hand that's gonna hold the fan, in my case the left one, we're gonna start by grabbing the deck in this position like this. Basically, for you to understand what's going on, the 2 main involved fingers are the middle and the thumb that creates this rotation point by applying pressure like so. But for a more stable grip, especially if you're a beginner, I would recommend you to go with the rest of the fingers like so. Like this, what we have is a very stable and also a rotation point that will allow us to create this fan in a very smooth and accurate way. But something very important to note here is that depending on where you create this rotation point, you will get a smaller or a bigger fan. For example, if I hold it now by the middle like so and I perform the fan, you'll see it's creating this kind of small fan that, if you want to compare it with how it looks normally, as you can see, there's quite a difference. This is used for manipulation acts to create the illusion that the cards are shrinking on the hands of the magician, and it's something you can play around with, and I recommend you to experiment once you learn how to do the classic fan. But if you want to keep now to the tutorial, I recommend you to start by grabbing the deck approximately around this position. Thumb, bottom right corner, middle finger also more or less at the same level on the other side, and the rest of the fingers to have a strong and stable grip. Additionally, something worth mentioning here is the way we're going to apply pressure along the creation of the fan. And we're going to need, in the beginning at least, kind of a loose grip, loose enough so the cars are staying in place, but then we'll be tightening up and making it stronger along the fan production. Like this, and this way we're going to have a lot much control and it will look a lot nicer so we can spread the cars evenly. Look, if I apply the same pressure all the time, you see that the cars are not spread evenly, and this is not good if we're going to have full control of it. So when you get familiar with the mechanics of the grip, also keep in mind the pressure, as it will be very important throughout the production of the fan. So now that we understand the details and the role of the hand that's going to be holding the fan, let's talk about the one that's going to produce it and spread the cars around. In this case is my right hand, and if you have watched my tutorial on how to do the ribbon spread, the index finger will have almost the same role, the same time of pressure. The only thing we're changing is the orientation and the motion. This case will be circular, so we can create the fan. So once we have the deck in place, what we're gonna do is to basically spread the cars around with our index finger in the circular motion. What we're doing basically is to not only spread the cars in the circular motion, but also applying pressure against the fingers so we can have this extra friction that will allow us to spread the cars evenly one by one. So without a deck will look something like this. It's kind of circular motion that goes slightly forward and then ends it up at the end of my palm. So now that we know the details and the role of both hands, let's put all together so we get a full picture on how to perform it. Basically, I will start by grabbing the deck into what's known as the Vidal grip. What this does is to place our fingers in the perfect position to start the fan right away, and also give us a lot of control on where to place the deck of cards on the other hand. So once we're here, we're gonna grab the deck with our left hand in the position we talked about. In this case, it's a bit forward because I'm experienced, but if you wanna have a more accurate beginner point of view, will be something like this, and then start the fan right away with our index finger. So here, to make our lives easier, I'll recommend you to start with the deck a little beveled, because what this does is to give us kind of a more room for our finger to fill all the deck and spread the cards evenly from all sections. You can do it like this already, but if you want to do it on the spot, something you can do is from the Vidal grip, spread the cards a little, like if you will do in the ribbon spread, but you're doing it in the base of your index finger. So once you spread a section of it, you can start to do the circular motion, apply the pressure forward, and finish it up, creating the fan like so. So now that we know how to do the card fan with the index finger, I can also teach you how to do the thumb fan. The mechanics are the same, basically. The only thing that changes is that instead of creating the fan with the index finger, we're gonna do it with the thumb. And that's it. It's super easy. And for that, what we're gonna do is to, instead of grabbing it into the Vidal grip, as I teach you before, we're gonna grab it in this position like this. I'm not sure if there's a name for it, but in case there is, please let me know in the comments. And from here, we also have the same control as before. We place it in the area we feel comfortable with that will allow us to spread the cards in a circular motion. And once we grab it, we're gonna apply the pressure forward and at the same time the circular motion that will allow us to fan the cards through. Of course, right now it looks a bit choppy, but because it's slow motion, but in real time will look something like this. It is very nice. It's also very easy to do. The only thing you're changing is the way you're grabbing the deck in the beginning and the way you apply pressure, but in this case with the thumb. So now that we know how to create the card fan with the index and with the thumb, let's talk about how to close it. In both cases, the easiest way to do it is by taking your index finger, contacting the edge of the deck, and reversing the action by pushing the cards forward in the circular motion. So you're getting the card squared like this, and you can continue. And for those who want to learn a more stylish and a slightly advanced way of closing it, you can also do it with one hand like this. It is very easy. The only thing you have to keep in mind is that this pivot point we created by applying pressure with our middle finger and thumb like this will just change momentarily, and exchanging the middle finger to the index finger. Sorry, it's hard to show you like in slow motion. So we can get our middle finger free to make this pull motion that will allow the cards to retract and come back so we can square them up with our hand like so. If you do it vertically, it will be a lot easier because you have gravity to help you, so the cards will get easily pulled back to the square position. But if you do it horizontally, You can help yourself by adding a wrist motion that will give the cars momentum so they will smoothly come back to the square position that we want. So these are all the details for you to know and to understand how to do the car fan. If you have any questions or comments about it, please don't forget to leave them down in the comment section, as I'll be very happy to assist you throughout the learning process. And now that we know how to create the fan and how to close it, let's move on to the bonus section. In this bonus section, I'll be sharing with you the one-handed version of the car fan. It is very nice, I like it a lot, and I perform it quite often. You can also do it with the whole deck, but from my point of view, it doesn't look as nice and you don't have as much control to spread the cars as evenly as possible. So for learning purposes, I would recommend you to learn this with half or portion of the deck, because the less cars you get, the more control you have at the moment of spreading. So it will look more even and look nicer. And to starting, once you have the portion you feel comfortable with, you're gonna grab the deck in this position like this. If you watch my tutorial on how to do riffle shuffle, this is the exact same position we are using to riffle through the packet like so. So from here, to start the one-handed fan, what we're gonna need first is to transfer the packet into this grip like this. Basically, it's our middle finger and thumb applying pressure around the bottom area of the packet. And once we're here, we're gonna start to squeeze the packet by using also our index finger here, like so. Without the cars, what we're basically doing is squeezing it like this, aiming to the base of our palm, as we will get some extra friction that will allow us to distribute the cars evenly through our hand. So once you understand the mechanics, it's a matter of practice until you get to create a car fan that looks as smooth and as even as possible, like this. So once you learn how to do the one-handed fan with your dominant hand, you can also add the left one and create some interesting shapes that looks very nice on the pictures. In case you would like to learn how to do both fans in sequence, basically what you need to start is as if you would do in a riffle shuffle, with a modification of the straddle grip, riffling through the deck like so until you get the portion or half-half, transferring the packet to the other hand, and starting maybe with my dominant hand, the fan like so, and then creating the other one. You can add some shaking motion to make it more visual, and finishing by putting it all together, creating this snake that looks very nice for the pictures. So that was the tutorial. I hope you like it, I hope you enjoy it, and if so, please don't forget to give a thumbs up. This will help me a lot, and also consider subscribing, as I'll be uploading in the future many tutorials that will go from beginner to intermediate to more advanced, so everybody will have a tutorial according to their level. And now, if you want to keep learning, I'll let you hear this super cool tutorial that I'm sure you will enjoy. And again, thank you so much for watching this tutorial, and I hope to see you in the next one.